Let's talk about Elon Musk buying Twitter for $44 billion. Y'all are all aware of this. The memes are everywhere. Twitter is in uproar. We have people deleting accounts. We have people kind of gloating over it in a weird way. It's just, it's nuts. And it is marking, in my opinion, this transformation that is upon us with the digital age, especially as it surrounds cryptocurrency. So I think that it's very important. Now, this is coming from Cointelegraph, and it does say the crypto industry reacts. The company's board of directors unanimously approved the deal on Monday, but added it was still subject to the approval of Twitter stockholders. In the hours and days before Tesla CEO Elon Musk's purchase of social media giant Twitter, discussions on free speech were common among many online users, both in and out of the crypto industry. Twitter announced on Monday that it will become a privately held company following its board of directors accepting a bid from Elon Musk to purchase the firm's stock for $54.20 per share in cash, roughly $44 billion US. Though the transaction is expected to close in 2022, it is still subject to the approval of Twitter stockholders as well as certain regulators. In one of his last tweets prior to the news of the purchase becoming public, Musk said, quote, "I hope that even my worst critics remain on Twitter because that is what free speech means," end quote. Twitter quoted the Tesla CEO saying free speech is the bedrock of a functioning democracy and Twitter is the digital town square. Many, however, seem to view the multi-billion-dollar purchase as potentially having the opposite result. Angelo Carusone, president of nonprofit media watchdog Media Matters for America, expressed concerns prior to the announcement that Twitter agreeing to the sale, quote, would be a victory for disinformation and the people who peddle it, end quote, suggesting that Musk might unilaterally decide to allow those banned from the platform for inciting violence back on. I think we can agree that guy's an idiot. Let's move on. Jackson Palmer, the co-creator of the meme-based token Dogecoin, which Musk has often pushed on the social media platform, called the acquisition a, quote, hostile takeover, end quote. That's true. So I want to be very clear. When you talk about a hostile takeover of a company, that doesn't always mean negative. That is something that is actually true. Like, that's a term that is utilized when one company comes in and basically forces the purchase of that company via basically a certain stock price that forces the company to do it in the interest of their shareholders. That's something like, not to go into too much detail, but my dad, that's what he did for a long time, was these kind of takeovers in the tech industry. And it is a hostile takeover. What Elon Musk did here was a hostile takeover. And that is because basically he forced the hand of Twitter to essentially sell to him. And that is not to be taken necessarily negatively, even though, like, in some cases people would consider it negative, right? So antithetical to the idea of freedom is what they added there. So no, hostile takeovers aren't antithetical to the idea of freedom, because they're a key part to a free market. Like, that is literally one of the foundations of an open and free market, right? So just to be clear, you don't like something, you have the money to purchase it and change it, you can do that. That's what open and free markets allow for. Bitcoin bull Anthony Pompliano congratulated the new Twitter owner, while crypto lending firm BlockFi seemed to take more of a comical stance, posting a mashup photo of Dogecoin dog and Twitter's logo. MicroStrategy founder and CEO Michael Saylor did not comment directly on the acquisition, instead replying to Musk with the text of the First Amendment of the United States Constitution in a tweet, suggesting he supports the move. House of Representatives member Jody Heiss, who has supported false claims of fraud in the 2020 presidential election, lauded the transaction as a win for the First Amendment as well. It's unclear what First Amendment proponents may have meant by their support of Musk's purchase of Twitter, as the constitutional amendment does not limit private employers in the United States, but rather prevents Congress from passing laws prohibiting certain types of speech. U.S. courts have previously ruled that freedom of expression does not extend to inciting, quote, imminent lawless action, end quote. Similarly, Twitter's rules state the platform does not allow users to, quote, threaten violence against an individual or a group of people, end quote, or incite others to engage in targeted harassment. Musk, with more than 83 million followers, far more than former Twitter CEO Jack Dorsey at 6.3 million, may influence behavior on the platform and social media as a whole as a result of the purchase. The Tesla CEO said on April 14th that one of his top priorities for Twitter would be to, quote, or to eliminate, quote, spam and scam bots and the bot armies, including those connected to crypto scams. That would be awesome. And we'll get into, I know that some of the ideas behind this, though, is that you pay for verification. I don't know that I agree with paying for verification necessarily, but let's continue. At the time of publication, shares of Twitter are priced at $51.70, having risen more than 32% in the last 30 days. So going back to that, like the idea that, so there's a couple problems I have, right? Just from the ideas I've heard kicked around by Musk and so on. One is paying for the check mark, right? And then two is removing the anonymity of the platform. So, from my perspective, I think that there is still value to having a platform that allows for anonymity of the users. And I understand that we get into an issue with like bots, etc. But I do kind of put up a little bit of a pushback to the idea of basically verifying everybody as a human and then having that KYC built into the platform, because we already have that with Facebook. And I don't like that with Facebook, right? Like I like to have but also I like my online persona, right? If I go play a video game on Xbox Live or Steam or PlayStation, I like having that online persona that's somewhat anonymous, that isn't going to be like tied directly to my name. Now, you could say to a certain extent, right, I could still just be on Twitter as son of a tech, verified as a real human being, and you don't have to present that information to the public. But then we're still also talking about Twitter handling my own personal information within their databases, which is just another point of failure or a security breach that could be there. And when we're talking about a private company, what happens when Elon sells it or gets rid of it? Who gets all that data, right? There's just kind of a couple of my problems with it in general. But another thing too is, of course, we do want to get rid of the scams and the bots, but we'll just have to see what happens, right? I think best case scenario, from my perspective, is Elon purchases it, he open sources the code, and then just gives it to the public. I think that would be like absolute best case scenario. Shines a light on what's going on with big tech and social media in particular, is specifically to where the entire public is aware of how the algorithms work, and so on, right? That would be the ideal case in my humble opinion. So, but will that happen? I don't know. I don't know if he just open sources the code, maintains control. At least there would be transparency there. I think it's all up in the air as far as it goes. Now, when we did, of course, see that going down, Dogecoin pumped like 40%, which is hence the title. So anytime Elon does something, Dogecoin pumps incredibly high. I hope you enjoyed this clip from the Crypto Mining Morning Show every Monday through Friday, 7:45 a.m. Pacific and 10:45 a.m. Eastern Time. You can check out more clips here, or if you're interested in checking out the entire live show, you can check that out down here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next Tuesday.